is high because we are a developed country. The others are least developed, and that did not sit well with many out there. You also, now as you speak, Kenya is to host that meeting with France.
Yeah.
And many African leaders have called out the president, including Ramaphosa, because you look at what the Sahel is doing in injecting France, and Kenya has actually been called as a traitor based off what the rest of the continent is saying about the French government. What would be your position on that?
Well, I think that I've always believed that we must have a common front when it comes to diplomacy in the region, and there are about 5 regions in Africa. Yeah. Well, you know that the French have a concept called mission civilisatrice. You know about that? Mm-hmm. So the French have, there's no better colonial culture that's better than the other. Mm-hmm. Samora Machel used to say that English colonialism is not better than French colonialism. The English-speaking Africa believes that they are a bit better than the French and the Portuguese.
Their colonialism was just a little bit more refined than that.
That's what they think. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Probably the British system under Lord Lugard in Nigeria was much more brutal than the one in the Sahel, because in Nigeria it was a concentrated population. There's no people in the Sahel. There's a few million. So the French couldn't even find the people. So walk around and there's nobody. But in Nigeria, you hit the markets and there's 10 million people down the road there. So English colonialism was worse. Now, to get to this point, I think that the French have no business in this continent. I really think so. And the reason why the West Africans have kicked them out is because the French economy and the French Republic survives on the resources of West Africa.
Yes.
And it's not my words. Jacques Chirac, who's a former president, said that verbatim. He said, if we don't get the resources from West Africa, France will be a third world country. He's exaggerating, of course. France and Germany have a relationship, but he was saying really what was really the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that President Ruto thinks that the two-step colonial dance for the Western powers will really help him. And in the meantime, he keeps pleading with them to change the financial infrastructure of the IMF and the World Bank. Why would they change it? You see, most of the time I start asking myself questions, not from the beginning, but from the end. Then you follow back the trail, and your question will make much more sense, or you'll change the concept. So he's saying he understands that we take 100 shillings from the public. Our debt is 150 shillings. We pay the 100 shillings. Then we have to look for another 50 shillings to pay. This is the billions, Then what happens is that we go into something called a deficit. The deficit is the difference between, what you're taking and then there's the debt. There's another thing, So then you can't do anything. You can't build roads. You can't build things like this, and you're in a debt trap.
Yeah.
Now the French are masters of this. So Mr. Ruto is trying to find solutions in the back pocket so that if the ones from America and Europe fails, he can access the French. So he's really just playing a balancing game in this country, because he really doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to tell him what to do.
Okay.
It's important. You just can't come here and criticize people all the time.
Yeah.
What solutions do you have?
Exactly.
So I have a solution to this whole problem.
Okay.
I think that he should, first of all, kick out the French and not allow them to come here, because the West African experience shows what the French people or the French Republic want to do. The second thing is he should not tax this nation, because nothing has ever been built on taxation. That's number one. Number 3 is we do not have any other resources right now. We have our minerals. Now, Somalia the other day gave Turkey 95% of its oil for 5%. That's neocolonialism.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What we need to do is to think about how we can process our minerals, our oils, and our natural resources in a way that will give the balance of accounts in our favor. And the most important resource we have in this country is its people. If its people had good leadership, they will go out of their way to make sure that the country works. I'll give you an example. Ethiopia built a dam, and it went into the markets, and the market said, we're not going to give you any loans.
Yes.
So the leader of Ethiopia, and this is part of the culture of Ethiopia, because they're very resilient, self-sufficient, and very proud people. They really believe in their country. So they said, we're going to build that dam, and everybody gave 1 shilling, 2 shillings, and they built it.
Yes, they did.
So it's possible for us to build things in our country with the resources of the people.
Have. Yeah.
So what do we need to do? We need to plead to the sentiment of the people, not tax them.
Yeah.
We need to plead to something called sentiment, which is currency. And good leadership pleads to the sentiment of it. For an example, President Kibaki built the Thika Highway, built all those inroads, and his debt was maybe 5% of what Uhuru and Ruto were taking. How did he do it? And why did these 2 young people from Jubilee, Uhuru and Ruto are joined at the hip?
Yeah.
You cannot separate Ruto from Uhuru.
Oh, okay.
No, you cannot.
In terms of what?
Because it's Uhuru who brought Ruto to us.
Right. Okay.
And then he complained about him at the end. Was he giving us bad judgment when he chose him? No, he was in The Hague. He needed him. So he had to bring him. But he knew he was, because they were in Kanu together forever under President Moi. So he knew the president, William Ruto. He knew him. So we should not cheat the people of this country. And President Ruto is right when he brings up Uhuru and says, Uhuru did this. But you know what? It was a joint presidency.
Yeah.
Because President Uhuru owned half of the government when they went into government.
Yeah.
He was appointing his own ministers. President Uhuru could not appoint someone without
consulting.
And what did President Ruto do when Mr. Gachagua tried to do the same thing?
He impeached
him. Right? So you see, the great Abraham Lincoln said that everybody, anybody can overcome any adversity. But if you really want to know a man, you give him power. And even me, if I'm given power, you get to know the real me. My rhetoric is here now as a person. But the test is to get power.
Right.
And when you get power, you see the real human being coming
through. Okay. One would imagine that as you deal with the geopolitics of the day, because we all